going on, YouTube? It's your boy, the Gym Slasher, CJ3, back at it again. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, and I appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hype me up. Without further ado, let's get right into work. Is Ja Morant the most toxic player in the NBA today? That is a interesting question, but a valuable and an important question to ask currently right now. Let me say this. I am a fan of Ja Morant. I've always liked his play. I liked his style. Reminds me of a Derrick Rose, meet Allen Iverson, that kind of blend of flash, of explosiveness, of just take over a game, and what he can do when he gets inside that paint is just remarkable, to say the least. So no one is questioning, and I don't think most people will question his talent. And over the last month, if you're watching the NBA, his jump shot is starting to come back around in terms of his threes, his mid range, right? So he's starting to get his legs under him. But what makes a toxic player a toxic player, in terms, especially in the professional standpoint? I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, it starts with character. Your character off the field or off your respective field, your court, field, the hockey ring, baseball, diamond, whatever you want in terms of professional setting, your character off your respective sport. That's the number one thing when you're seeing a talent, and a talent not being sought after in terms of what the Memphis Grizzlies got going on right now. And for that, understand Memphis Grizzlies are basically at a fire sale, right? They sent Josh Jackson recently to the Utah Jazz. Desmond Bane went to the Orlando Magic via free agency. Taylor Jenkins, their head coach, he got fired last season, and we see where he went. And you can kind of start seeing the dominoes fall as you may. That's an indicator that they're ready to move on into a next regime of Memphis. And a lot of that has a lot to do with their leader. Their leader was led by by Ja Morant. Ja Morant is, like I said, is an all-world talent. What cats will begin to cascade, as we know, and I hate to go back in his past, but that past has came back now to haunt him in terms of what he has, in terms of what teams are looking at. If we as a franchise, if I'm looking to acquire a point guard like him of his stature, and I'm trying to make a playoff run or maybe start to build into my future, is he someone that I can rely on? Is this a player that I can build around? Is this a player that I can hand my franchise to for the next 5 to 10 years? Those questions become paramount when you begin to peel back the layers of his character. Those are those history that he has done in the last couple of seasons, and couple of major injuries that he's had. You couple those two things up, it becomes I don't know if I really want to, as a franchise, as an NBA franchise, I don't know if I really want to bring this player with that talent, but with this questionable character or toxic character behavior. I don't know if I have the resources to handle or be around that. That is damaging for a professional player. That's almost it's one of the worst things you can get as a player, especially in the NBA. A player that comes to mind as an example is Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins. He was one of those players that had all-world talent, but his character came into question a lot, and where teams weren't willing to pay the money for him, they weren't trying to build around him. The offers that they would give him would be basically a role player type of player, bench player coming off the bench. If you can handle those that's what, and it's low risk, low reward. If we can get something out of you, great. If we don't, we can easily move on from you. Ja Morant is almost at that point where they're not willing to put too much money in him. From what the NBA is saying, the Memphis Grizzlies was offering Ja Morant, in addition to first round pick, a first round and a second round pick, basically incentivizing teams to take him. And in the NBA, in terms of contracts or trades, you giving up a player and first round, that's a player and capital, because you're giving up a first round pick that's potential that can do well for that team. So I'm giving you my present player and I'm willing to give you a future player. That's player and capital. And teams were not wanting to even take John Morant with a first round pick. They're not, in other words, Memphis is not asking for a first round in return. They were saying, I'll give you John Morant and a first round pick. That's not common for NBA teams to not at least entertain that, or at very least say, yeah, we'll go ahead and take that. So that tells you, if I'm John Morant, you got some work to do. You got to build on your character. You got to work on that. The question is, okay, what's his character? He went through what he went through a couple of seasons ago. He's seemed like he's kind of over that. He's trying to build. He's staying low key, low profile. And I'm willing to agree with that, to people who are John Morant fans or John Morant supporters or supporter of him just in general, to just see him prosper at somewhere else, since the rest of his teammates and former teammates have gone on to move on. You want to see that from him as well. I don't disagree with that. But in the NBA setting, franchises, GMs, owners, they don't forget that past. They don't forget those suspensions. They don't forget how, whether we like it or not, and I'm not a big fan of it, but again, it's the company you keep. Guess who else is, if you're taking John Morant, guess who else you bringing along with him? His pops. And that relationship of his pops, you see him, at least at the times, his pops be in the front row of the games, and it appears as if he wants to be the star of the show as well. I'm not saying that that's what his drive or purpose is. I think he's just a proud father to see his son doing what he do. But the imagery, the image of him on TV looks like he wants to be the star of the show. The teams that were at least in rumor looking for him was the Miami Heat. You got Eric Spoelstra, you got Pat Riley. That regime is very strict. They're very hard-nosed. They want you to work hard. Putting John Morant in South Beach, it can go either way. But can John Morant follow what Pat Riley, follow what Eric Spoelstra want to run? I don't think John Morant's father is going to be able to have the access like he's had at Memphis, because I've seen, and it was reported when LeBron was there, Pat Riley wasn't having LeBron's family all up and around in the mix of things, and his constituents all on around in the mix. Pat Riley was shutting a lot of that stuff down, in addition to Eric Spoelstra, which some people led to why LeBron left to go back to Cleveland, was because of that restrictions and keeping it to where you're just a player, just like anybody else. I don't know if that's going to be a good fit for John Morant. There's not as many good fits for John Morant, because what I believe you're going to need around him is actually what I think Miami has, is that structure, is that hard nose. They're not playing around, but that can go either way. Either it could work very well for him, or it could be a combustible type of thing. And again, professional teams, they don't want distractions. That's anywhere across the board. If they can minimize those distractions, they can go for it. But John Morant, the rest of this season, he's got to build on his character. He's got an image that he's got to build on. Do I believe he can do it? Yes, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some maturity. It's going to take some accountability for himself. And he's got an agent. He's got people around him to help build his image in that. A good PR off season to just stay out of trouble, stay out of the limelight, just put in the work. The kids love him. He was on his way to be a personified superstar. Him with Zion Williamson, and now you got Cooper Flag. I felt like he was in that prior to Cooper Flag coming in this season. He was prior to his past practices and choices, poor choices, he was that next up with Edwards, and from Minnesota. The fact that he had those things set him back, but the kids still really love him. He's a highlight reel, a natural highlight reel that everybody loved watching, including myself. But he's got some work to do. When you get into that professional setting, like I've said over and over, this is a perfect example of high talent, but questionable character. And when that comes ahead, it hits you like a ton of bricks as you a professional player and you seeing everybody else leaving and people acquiring your teammates. And then it gets to you, you know that they're in rebuild. Memphis has made it very clear that they're in rebuild mode. And you're still there, not because they're holding on to you and they can't get a deal. You find out that they're only keeping you because, with all due respect, no one wants you. You're not worth the ticket. You're not worth the price. And that's got to hit. I don't care who you are as a professional athlete or as a fan, as a player, as a person. When somebody don't want you and they're willing to even set back, even if you give them a sweet in the pot and they still go, nah, that's not it. You at some point got to look at yourself and go, what have I done to get myself in this situation? But then the second question is, how can I get out of this? How can I rebuild? Because clearly I need a rebuild. I believe he can do it. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some time. But I want to know what y'all thoughts. Let's put them in the comments. Do you think he got a chance? Do you think he's going to get somewhere that's pretty decent, or he's going to go to another team of obscurity? Who knows? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Until next time, appreciate you guys. Who are you? What is your mission? Thank you. Peace.